This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about a culture of ownership. We live under the dictatorship of a culture of ownership. Ownership is lives outside and inside of us. It is pervasive, it is everywhere, it is ubiquitous. So that's why we all always have to. Ideas belong to someone. We have those reference, those the people that we don't have shared ideas. We just have intellectual property. Because we have to have the right to own ideas. And the problem with that, it's about ideas and everything else, okay? But ideas, because we live in this society where our income, our wealth, the money we need to buy the things we need to survive and to have a good life always comes from our work, which means that our work should be paid. That is perfectly logical. Everybody understands this rule, and therefore even many people that call themselves leftists and progressives, they believe that this kind of ownership is valid, is fair, is just. It doesn't matter if we. What matters most is that we understand society as a collective endeavor, or we just understand society as a collection of individuals. So therefore, there is a lot of meaning in every single of us take all the rewards that are supposed to belong to us as if we live alone, as if we could have those benefits outside of society. That's what people do not understand. That we do. And I don't. When I say it, I don't say that people not understand. Of course, we understand, but we do not take in account that when we talk about individual achievements and ownership, and especially ownership of ideas, private intellectual rights. There's all this sort of legal that to protect private rights, but the ones that really matter, which has to do with life-saving policies, those are the ones that do not matter at all, or at least the ones that are negligible. So it's this idea that society doesn't matter, doesn't exist. The triumph of the individual, the triumph of the that everything goes through ownership, everything goes through privatization, private ownership, not public ownership. Because public is not ownership; it's about being public. It's about being available, and that's why the demonization of public accessibility doesn't make anybody profit. Water. Does water, the water we need to survive, or the plants and animals should be for profit? Should we ask the animals to pay for the water they need to survive in the wilderness, or the plants or the trees? Of course not. But then there comes the catch. Who pays for the investments? Who pays for the investments? What pays for the investments is money. And money is a sovereign asset. It's not an asset. Money is units of a country. It's part of the accounting system. That's wrong to. That starts with that already. Ownership is an asset, so therefore we can own. I can own it. So the culture of ownership and the culture that exists, and is also the culture of private enterprise. Okay, there's nothing wrong with private initiative. I mean, a market economy, it might be needed. A market is needed. A market economy, we should discuss what that really means. What's the purpose of it? Because the problem is not exactly the words, you know. It's not that we call it market economy. The world is full of acronyms and initiatives with just so beautiful names, and then we go and dig it, and they are awful enterprises and even criminal enterprises. So the words are meaningless if they do not, that's what they do in reality. That's what exactly the reality is that is important. What is the market economy? What's the purpose of a market economy? And then we can discuss the rules for that market economy, the international monetary laws and economic laws, and so that's a whole range of for a discussion. That what matters is the purpose. It's what do we want to do with it. Not exactly the names, the titles we give them. But the existing market economy is about ownership, of course, but it's about something even. It's really bad because it doesn't appeal to what is difficult. You know, this consumer economy that is basically for profit. That means that every single enterprise, firm, business is there to make profit, and the dark or the downside of these activities is that they don't want us to have they want to make it easy, which means that they prey on convenience. They make it convenient as possible. They make it easy to use. They make it very easy to be liked, like food and drinks. It is especially for children, that as the more we know about human nature and condition, the easier it is to scientifically develop products and slogans and all the rest to make it easier and easier to make people dependent, and that is a culture that diminishes us, makes us weaker, is not good for develop a strong will, not good for develop a critical thinking and analysis, because everything that is difficult becomes by default to be avoided. I mean, we basically try to avoid it, and it matters a lot because it's not only the consequences for our health and for our physical health, I mean, but it's the consequences for our psychological and cognitive and emotional health, because we do not look for. We tend to look only for the things that are easier, that are easy to. That's for our taste, that's for our comprehension, for our understanding, and everything else. So therefore we just have these supposedly high culture standards and scientific and technological standards, but we have a shallow culture dominated by the culture of ownership, that's why when people think about the principle of that I don't remember who was the woman that said it in Davos, we will own nothing and we'll be happy, and but it is true. And what do people make about it? With they just try to. I mean, I'm not defending Davos. I don't like that people. I know they are part of the problem. They are not part of the solution. But it doesn't matter. The idea is correct. We can own nothing and we can be happy. We can be much happier. And we should be able to wrap our minds around it. I'm not advocating for it. I do not have. I always think that is a dialogue that we need to put in the table. Because if we do not question, if we do not have the ideas, if it's only about ownership, it's all about develop nice ideas, nice concepts and theories and write books, and then it's the same principle that goes for people that, for example, have an experience, sabbatical period or whatever they want to do, that they are going to live without money or with very, very, very little money, and they tell a story to the world. They write a book about it, how to live without money, blah, blah, blah. But what are they doing? They want to write a book to make money out of it if it's possible, to tell you a story about how to live without money. That's just schizophrenic. That's just exactly what we need to we need to be able to read it through different lenses. You know, not always trying to look to these people and say, okay, this is no, it's not good to live without money in a society where money is needed for everything, where money is the key to open the doors. Okay? It doesn't matter if the door has a digital lock or a conventional lock or whatever kind of lock does it have. It doesn't matter. Just matters that you need the key. And the key is money. And who owns money? Who creates money? And so this culture of ownership that is so pervasive, that just defines our lives. It actually defines our lives. Because whatever we do, since we are very young, and we have to think about what am I going to do with my life? How can I be rich? How can I retire when I'm around 40 years old? Kind of middle life. So it doesn't matter, because everything you think about, it's always about the culture of ownership. And it's always about any form of accumulation of capital or money, which is a form of capital. It might seem a bit confusing, because while I'm reasoning, in my mind, there is all these variables, all these points that are that are linked, interlinked, and my thinking, my kind of holistic thinking is not able to separate, to compartmentalize it. I cannot avoid but bring into the conversation the points that might seem not related, but actually they are, and it might make it more difficult to understand, but that's exactly. This is not conversations that to please the dominant culture of superficiality, shallowness, for the people that already know everything without digging, without trying to understand the connections and the consequences and the causes and all the rest of it. You know, that's the dominant culture. I know it. I know that I'm not. What I'm trying to do is to have a comprehensive understanding. It's not to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to please anyone. It's just I'm not targeting any kind of audience. I would like I'm sorry. I would like that this kind of conversations would be normalized, that people would discuss these kind of subjects, because they are the reality where our lives happen, and they are coercing us into lifestyles and types of mentality, the framing reality in a way that that's what we become. We are exactly what these frames of mind, these frames of thinking, these narratives make us understand of reality. And if we do not question it, if we do not try to think outside the box, to move away and see in perspective, to have different perspectives of understanding why this works the way it works, why it's so hard for so many people to make ends meeting, to survive. So I'm not confused. I know exactly. I can explain, but it's. Do I know? Am I right about everything? I don't pretend that. This is I have to emphasize this. Life is a process. Life is not about achieving anything. Life is just about trying to fulfill certain values and principles. And those principles should be universal. And since we are moral beings, we should do no harm. It's not because it's just because every time we cause unnecessary suffering, conscious unnecessary suffering, you know what I mean? When we are perfectly conscious that there will be consequences of our acts, that will be nefarious, that we need. So when we are not able to correct ourselves, so that we need the society to do it. We need the principles and values not as punishment, but as it has a form of a punishment, not punishment for the sake of punishment, but punishment as the sake of reinforcing a society of justice and truth, where truth and justice really matters, not rhetorically. That's the problem with us. We just live schizophrenic lives. That doesn't make us happy. It doesn't. That does. That the need of living a permanent state of cognitive dissonance is not good for ourselves. Where is the oneness that some people talk about? Where is the spirituality? Where does it live? Doesn't the people that are always talking about spirituality do not understand that they live in the state of cognitive dissonance? There is no oneness in their lives. That doesn't exist, because they separate. They try to put together. This is not that we even try to put together. They try to not to put together. They try to live to have separation between the economic life, the social life, the spiritual life, as if there is no oneness, as at the same time they try to talk about um, the oneness of life. But where is that? Because if we do not have a society, an economic system, and a political system that rewards it, that doesn't exist. It's as simple as that. That we do not understand that when we talk about this culture of ownership, just destroys everything. Because we have to submit to it. We cannot understand anything but through the lenses of ownership, private ownership. You know, and then that's the shallowness. A consumerist culture, a mindless consumerist culture, consumer culture, that is just makes us as shallow as possible. That brings division, you know, that brings this division based on cults. You know, I belong to a cult, you belong to another cult. So that's what the right-wing populism right now is, a cult. And the left-wing, or what, not left-wing, of course, this progressive liberal wokeism is a cult to create division. It's not about understanding reality or the suffering of people. It's about power. Because they want to poison us with this culture of ownership. You know, all these laws, private law, private property law, intellectual rights law, this and that, and so forth and so on, in order to divide us, to make us believe that we are all in the game. But the game is rigged. The rules of the game are against us. Even if we have our little possessions, okay, that they are important for us, our house, our car, our little farm, or whatever you have or aspire to have, to own, you are just a peon. You do, in spite of being an owner, in spite that you own some private stuff, in spite of that, you are still a useful idiot and a useless eater. And when it comes the time that you are not needed anymore, that you are always disposable. The really rulers of the world, they do not care about you. That's you who believe that you are part of the club, but you ain't. It is a big club, but you ain't in it. George Carlin. For those that do not remember or do not know who George Carlin is, you can look it up. A comedian that died some years ago. So this is this is how this is how it works, and we need to reason, we need to discuss it, we need to make those questions. What do we want? What life is about? What are we fighting for? What are we working for? I mean, what kind of values and principles do really matter? And who should define it? And who should define the parameters and the institutions, national and international, that would be basically the foundations for an international order based on law, truth, and justice. Not law for the benefit of the few. I do not care if the oligarchs, what is the nationality of the oligarchs, or the faith, the creed of the oligarchs, or I mean any other, whatever it is, their culture, their civilization, everything. I do not want that the principles and values that govern my life are defined by them, and to protect their interests, present and future. And that's what they do, and when we should have something to say about it. We should have societies that work for all of us, not just otherwise, whatever you believe about ourselves, we are just cogs in the machine all our lives. That's what schooling is about, and that's what parenting is about. Parenting is about that's what trying to have a career is about. Doesn't many people have fulfilling careers? Of course that is true. But then how about the others that know they are just having, they know they are just feeling, they have a position that makes us, that allows us to have a nice life, but other than that, they know their lives are empty, and they are serving higher interests. They are not serving the collective good. They are not serving their own. They are not having really a meaningful life and a life with purpose. But the purpose is just to enjoy a safe, a life with financial safety, and that allows them to have a middle class or upper middle class lifestyle. Okay. And how about the rest of us? We are just peons, useful idiots, disposable peons. And then we talk about freedom and democracy and ownership. That's what's important. Ownership of what? If you have the only ownership that we should care about is the ownership of our own time, which is our life. That's what really matters. And how to achieve it, how to have a society where all of us can, with a compromise, with responsibility, because we need reciprocity. We cannot have a society without reciprocity. That's why I always talk about the economics of sufficiency and reciprocity. For the oneness of life. Because whatever people believe about spirituality, of spiritual life, we need the ownness of the concept and understanding of the oneness of life. There is no things above and things below, okay? There is the oneness of life. Spirit is not separated from flesh. We exist. Whatever the spirit is, it exists in this flesh. Whatever my spirit is, it is in my flesh. Okay? It lives here. It's not something separated from me. Oh, that's the point. That I do not have two lives. I have one life. It's a one thing. And my life, my physical life, my mental life, my emotional life, all these pieces of me, parts of me, need to make a oneness. It's not. I do not want to live in cognitive dissonance. I don't want to be schizophrenic. I want to live that my life, what I do, what I think, what I feel is it's one. I don't want to pursue only the idea of owning anything. I don't need to own. I need the things. I need to use them. I mean, I don't need to own this walk I use for my walking. I need it to be respected and clean and nice for me and for all the ones. I mean, you know, this doesn't mean that I do not. I want to abolish. I abolish complete. I would like to see the private property abolished completely, or whatever it is. But we should do. When we submit, when we have a supreme law, okay, and it is a dogma. It is also I don't remember the word right now. A taboo, that we do not discuss it. There are certain things we do not discuss. You know, we just accept them as rules. We don't discuss them. We just accept them as rules, and that's it. We don't even dare to discuss that. That's the problem of it. We don't discuss them. We don't believe that they are discussable, because they seem absolute. They seem as permanent as rocks, let's put it this way, you know, but they are not. They have been invented. They exist in the form of ideas that have been cultivated until they became perceived as permanent. They are perceived as if they are not needed to be discussed, to be questioned. But that's not the case, because it doesn't matter how many centuries does some ideas, values, and principles are part of our imperialist culture. Okay, because we live for centuries in an environment that can be defined as the imperialist culture, and an imperialist culture that, in my perspective, and that's the point, one of the points that matters most for me, that people were deceived by the worst of their own communities, you know, and by the worst I mean usually the ones that have sociopathic and psychopathic traits. Okay, they have no empathy, they have no compassion, they just have ideas in their brain. They have megalomania, and they want to have they have these grandiose, to achieve these grandiose things for whatever they, their people, their race, for some form of superiority. So, and they these have been the people that we have been always praising, because we have been led into the idea that these people need to be praised. They are the ones that bring honor to our culture. They are the ones that have transformed us into an empire. Most of us are most of our countries are former empires, okay? So, and that is supposed to be the to be a very important trait of our history, of our culture, of our identity, of our collective identity. Not our humanity. Because we have this kind of culture that we are supposed to you put the emphasis in the big achievements, like you go to every city in Europe, you see all these beautiful buildings, and that they represent the colonial period, the imperialist period, the power, the wealth, and then it is important because it was our architecture and engineering and science and arts and everything else that are supposed to be the purpose of civilization is as the opportunity to develop, knowledge, technology, science. Is that bad? No. But in the other plate, I mean, it is that there are bad aspects about it, of course. But knowledge, by itself, it's good. Especially when knowledge is based on facts, is not based on manipulation, because the problem with knowledge and the problem with information is it's because when we ignore something, it means that we do not know. So it doesn't affect us for the good and for the bad, okay? But when we are showered with information that is misinformation, that is for the purpose that are information and supposedly knowledge, okay, that is framed in a way that the point is to manipulate us, which is probably 90% of the time, or 90% of the information that exists. It is the effect on us is not good. It doesn't help us. We can be we can have as much knowledge as we can have all the knowledge in the world, and nevertheless we might not be able to discern what is really important, because we might just be totally It's not knowledge by itself that matters. It matters the quality of the knowledge. That matters a lot. And what matters a lot is the quality of our critical thinking, of how do we develop our skills to be as less as avoid manipulation, to avoid manipulation. That's what it really matters, because it's how they have been working all this time. And then, we have destroyed forests, we have destroyed peoples and land, and killed animals, and devastated ecosystems for the purpose of imperialism. And imperialism was always about for democracy and concentration of wealth for the few. That's what it still is. That it is true that we have better lives now, but those better lives that we have now, they have been the consequence of many. If there was not the fights that in the past many of our ancestors, working class people, have civil rights, and all the people that they fight for the rights for everybody, and because there is never in any time when the owners, the owners that really matter, they never said that it's okay. They always say, no, how can we afford? It's always the same question. How can we afford to reduce the working hours per day? How can we afford social security? How can we this? How can we that? That's why it's important to understand, to have context, and there is another important point in my perspective. It's to never drink only in one fountain. We should not call ourselves communists or socialists or capitalists or this and that. Because whatever we should not put a frame. It's like the same with workers. I mean, I understand, we should understand that we all are workers too, but we are human beings. And besides being human beings, we are citizens of a society, of a country. And then we are workers. Because to define the rule, as human beings, we need to define our role in the rest of the living community, okay? Then we define ourselves as citizens. We should understand our role in a society. And then we can define our role as workers. And that is important to understand, that we need and that's nothing, then we can use because I I say it often. I often say that if I would only listen or read the people with whom I agree 100%, I could not, I would not find a single person, because I think I don't want to, I'm not sure 100%, but I think I do not agree with anyone 100%. But even with those I disagree a lot, I have learned it's important to expose myself to the knowledge they have, the experience they have, because sometimes I understand, I see perspectives that otherwise I would not, it might slip me, I might be not able to. So therefore, it helps me to have a better understanding. And whatever helps me to have a better and more comprehensive understanding is going to help me to become a better citizen and a better human being. Because that's, for me, the goal, the purpose of comprehensive understanding, to transform us, the process by which we slowly transform us in better human beings. And by better human beings, I really mean that more compassionate, more empathic, have more solidarity and cooperation, and understanding that we need limits in everything. It cannot be just accumulation, because that doesn't work in nature. And in the end, whatever you believe nature is, in the end, nature, the laws of nature will put us in our place. It doesn't matter if it's cosmic laws, universal laws, biological laws, whatever the laws are, those laws of nature as universal principles, they will make sure, they will put us in our place. Which means that in the end, if we do not, if we are not able collectively to change the route of our, to end this imperialistic civilization and build a ecological and transition to holistic ecological civilization, we might be, in the end, it doesn't matter how, because again, if we have this cult, it's another cult, the technoscientism is a cult. This is not even religion. These are cults that have that preach the supremacy of technofixism, even present technofixism or technocracy as the right form of government. Okay, that's what they preach. This is just delusional, because technology and science can do a lot, but cannot be can be taken as absolute. Okay, in absolute terms, that they are the thing that will solve all problems, because it's just delusional. And then the laws of nature or nature itself, which we are part of, that doesn't matter where we come from, what's our origins, might be wiped out. Not because we are bad or good, just forget about that. Just it's not. That's nothing to do with that. That's about to do with who we follow. What are the principles, the values, the institutions, the ideologies, the people that we worship? Not worship, I'm sorry. I think I spelled this word wrong, but you know what I mean. That's what it is about. And we need to understand it. That should be a part of our educational system, our upbringing as human beings. Okay, this is enough for today. Thank you for listening. I will be back soon.